فانظر إلى الكون باعتبار في أرض مولاك وسماء.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to our channel, Apostolic Islam, representing the faith of the prophets of the God of Abraham, peace be upon them. In this video, without making things too complicated, we will examine the false claim made by the heretical Trinitarians, that Jesus claimed to be the God of Moses by saying, Ego eimi, translated, I am. Let's first observe John chapter 9, verse 9, in which the healed but formerly blind man kept saying, I am, the exact same two Greek words that Jesus uses when he makes his I am statements, as is recorded throughout the book of John. First, it's interesting to note that when the blind man says Ego eimi, it is usually translated as I am he, referring, of course, to his attempt to clarify to everyone that, yes, I am he, the formerly blind man, but now I'm healed. Yet when Jesus says the same thing in order to identify himself as the Jewish Messiah, as in John chapter 4, verse 26, it's usually rendered as I am, or even I am capitalized, as the translations CEB, ISV, JUB, and TLV do, and not I am he. This, in turn, is popularly, but erroneously, used to support the falsehood that Jesus was somehow claiming to be God, since in the Old Testament, God, or Yahweh, said to Moses, I am that I am. Or in Exodus chapter 3, verse 14, literally, I will be that I will be. In John chapter 4, verse 26, when Jesus spoke to the Samaritan woman, he was only claiming to be the Messiah. But what kind of a Messiah? The answer is found in the preceding two verses, chapter 4, verses 24 to 25. He is the Messiah of the one who seeks true worshippers, namely the God of Abraham, i.e., the Father. Therefore, we see that for the Samaritan woman and Jesus, the one and only true God is he who seeks true worshippers, and he is not a triune personal being, but one, as the Muslims profess.
And eternal life means to know you, the only true God, and to know Jesus Christ, whom you sent.
Elsewhere in John, Jesus is recorded as stating, I am the bread of life, in chapter 6, verse 35, and I am the resurrection and the life, chapter 11, verse 25. But saying, Ego eimi, the bread of life, is nothing like declaring, I am that I am, or I will be that I will be, to Moses in Exodus chapter 13, verse 14. In fact, the wrong two words are being emphasized. Note that it's not the ego eimi of God's self-revelation that is the focus for those who say Jesus is God. The real declaratory focus are the subsequent two words, Hohan, the divine identifiers. In the New International Version, God says to Moses, I am, ego eimi, who I am, Hohan. This is what you are saying to the Israelites. I am, Hohan, has sent me to you. But the English translations highlight the wrong two words, i.e., instead of ego eimi, it should be Hohan. Again, note that God didn't say to Moses, ego eimi has sent you, but that Hohan has sent you. The New Testament writers do not record Jesus ever using Hohan in reference to himself, let alone ego eimi, Hohan. Furthermore, what other words would you have Jesus use in order to identify himself? For example, when you say, I am a teacher, or I am Bob, or I am the only one who has the key to that door. If you were to write them in Greek, the same words would be used as self-identifiers, ego eimi. There is no simpler way to identify you, lest you get very awkward. The person who is speaking to you is a teacher, or is Bob, or is the only one who has the key. This is not the natural way of speaking. Jesus never said, I am, or I am that I am, or I will be what I will be. He simply said, I am the Good Shepherd. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the vine, etc. Like the healed blind man, Jesus was only trying to identify himself for those either asking or looking for him. If someone else says the same exact words, it is not a divine claim. But when Jesus does, suddenly the Trinitarians, in their desperation, want you to ignore the context and assume Jesus meant something he never intended. If the Trinitarians were consistent, they'd have a hard time fitting in dozens of additional persons in the Godhead. Our conclusion is biblically accurate, that by saying I am, Jesus never claimed to be Yahweh. He never claimed to be the great I am of the Old Testament, Yahweh. He did, however, repeatedly claim to be the Lord's Messiah, and this is the Islamic teaching. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.